I am. And you know, my mom, she had a stroke in March. And she's had I didn't even finish the glass of scotch in
District. And as always, we will begin with Trustee Milchiker, our clerk, who will report actions taken in closed session.
Thank you. First, on a 7-0 vote, the board regrettably approved notice of release for acting Chancellor Dixie Bullock. So that was with great regret. And then on a 7-0 vote, the board rejected the government tort claim of Michelle Anstead.
Thank you. We invite you to join us for an invocation now to be led by Trustee Lang, and that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Trustee Milchiker.
We express our gratitude and salute all our veterans who helped secure and preserve all of the freedoms we hold so dear and enjoy so much. We unfortunately often tend to take for granted the wonderful liberties that we have here in our country, absent in so many other places throughout the globe. To all of our men and women in all the branches of the military, we salute you. To all those in uniform, domestic and abroad, we thank you for the services you so selflessly provide on behalf of us and our families. In this month of Thanksgiving, let all of us appreciate the many blessings that we enjoy and all of those that safeguard us and contribute to our well-being and quality of life. Thank you.
Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance to our great nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a somewhat out of the ordinary today. There are two resolutions, and they are for the two people who usually go to the podium to give resolutions to others. And so I guess if you would do me the honor, I would appreciate the opportunity to escort you to the podium, Madam Acting Chancellor.
I'm happy to, President Wagner.
Well, this is a very wonderful time because we're giving resolutions to both our acting Chancellor, Dixie Bullock, and our Board of Trustee member, Don Wagner.
We're going to start with Dixie. So, Dane, would you be so kind as to join us up here?
Oh, good. Good idea. I think I'll start.
Go ahead.
Whereas Dixie Bullock came out of retirement for the third time in July 2010 to serve as the acting chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District. Whereas immediately Dixie Bullock established her leadership hallmarks of stability, civility, communication, and fun. And whereas due to Dixie Bullock's willingness to take on tough assignments, she solidified positive relationships with the City of Tustin and the County of Orange, and facilitated organizational change and clarification of the Advanced Technology and Education Park, all while navigating through 2 college accreditation site visits. And whereas Dixie Bullock served with distinction over 28 years at Saddleback College as a professor of nursing, department chair, dean, vice president of instruction, and ultimately college president for 6 years until her retirement in 2004. And whereas Dixie Bullock first came out of retirement to serve as the acting dean of the Irvine Valley College School of Mathematics, Science, and Engineering, and then a second time to be the acting dean of Saddleback College Division of Fine Arts and Media Technology. Therefore, Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby convey its deep appreciation to Dixie Bullock for her steadfast dedication to our district and its students, and wish her the very best in resuming her well-deserved retirement until we can call upon her again. And Dana's looking at us saying, no, please don't.
Move approval of the recommendation.
Second.
Trustee Fuentes.
Aye.
Trustee Jay. Aye. Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Padberg.
Aye.
Trustee Wagner. Aye. Trustee Williams. Aye. Student Trustee Shea.
Thank you so much. It sounds like a on again, off again affair here. I invited my husband Dane to come because he's my big support, and without his real long patience this time, I couldn't have done this. But it's been a wonderful experience, and he came to be sure nobody reneged.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, all. And now I get to introduce President Donald Wagner.
Okay, this is another really excellent resolution. Whereas Donald P. Wagner was elected to represent the citizens of the 70th District in the Assembly of the State of California, and whereas Donald P. Wagner has served on the Board of Trustees since 1989, has been elected to an unprecedented 6 terms as board president, and whereas due to the leadership of Donald P. Wagner and the Board of Trustees, our district has achieved some of its greatest accomplishments in a 43-year history, such as reaching an enrollment of 25,000 full-time equivalent students and the highest level of capital construction and renovation, and whereas Donald P. Wagner contributed countless hours as an engaged and contributing member of the Irvine Valley College 2008 Accreditation Focus Group and 2010 Accreditation Steering Committee, and whereas Donald P. Wagner and the Board of Trustees had the foresight of sound fiscal management as evidenced by a board policy setting 7.5% reserve, retirement of all debt, and being one of the first districts in the state to fully fund its retiree liability. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the acting Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby congratulate Donald P. Wagner on his election to the Assembly and express the deepest appreciation for his 12 years of dedication to faculty, staff, and administrators throughout our district, and enduring commitment to generations of students attending Irvine Valley College and Saddleback College. And we wish you well in the assembly.
Move approval of the resolution.
Second.
Trustee Fuentes.
Aye.
Trustee Jay. Aye. Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Padberg.
Aye.
Trustee Wagner.
I'll abstain.
Trustee Williams. Student Trustee Shea.
Let me take just a quick second to thank all of you. It has truly been a privilege and an honor to serve our students and serve our communities with you and to serve with you. I've had an opportunity over the course of the last couple of days to meet at length with Trustee-elect Prendergast, who will join you at the next meeting, and I will not speak out of school. I will merely tell you all one thing I said to him. There have been lots of disagreements. There have been lots of agreements. There have been great times. There have been some tough times. But at no time have I ever doubted any of you and your commitment to serving in good faith the people of this district and especially our students. This resolution mentions me, and as a candidate, I ran out taking a lot of credit for things that got done, but the resolution also rightly reflects me and the board. Nothing any one of us could have been done alone. You people are all to be sincerely thanked and credited for the good job that you've done. I appreciate the recognition tonight. I truly leave the district with a heavy heart. That is certainly the hardest thing about moving on, is leaving the good people here. I pledge in further public service to work with you as we together try to serve our common constituents. You guys are wonderful. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve with all of you. Thank you all very much. And Dixie's been wonderful.
Very well said.
I do want to let you know that we are making a list of things we want to go through the assembly for you to, put your time
I'll
in.
work on it.
But we'd like to present this gift to you for your years of service for our district. And with this, we'll make sure that you get to all of those assembly sessions on time.
Oh, cool. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
You got more.
I think you ought to show it to us and tell us what it is.
Oh, well, all right.
And?
It is a clock,
Oh.
as Dixie says, to get me to all of my meetings on time with a plaque.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. It's going to look great on my desk up in Sacramento.
The staff did a great
Staff always does. Staff makes us all look good.
Well, President Wagner, we have something that's look good on your wall. How's that? Or your keychain. Evoking medieval walled cities whose gates were guarded during the day and locked at night, the key to Saddleback College symbolizes the freedom of the recipient to enter and leave the college at will as a trusted friend. We thank you for your leadership and dedicated service to Saddleback College and wish you all the best in the State Assembly. President Wagner, here is your official key to Saddleback College.
Irvine Valley College has one as well, and due to time, this is a resolution that we're providing to President Wagner here. I'm not going to read all of these, but let me read just one. Whereas Trustee Wagner has successfully contributed to higher education at the South Orange County Community College District since 1998, and throughout his 12 years of service, he's been elected and served an unprecedented 6 years as board president. He has led the way for institutional progress and growth. His dedication and performance have earned him the respect of his fellow board members and college constituents at Irvine Valley College. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
It's a great district with wonderful colleges. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you both. Well, that was fun. I'm sure you all think I should have resigned sooner. All right, a quick housekeeping detail or explanation. Our next presentation is here because of a goof on my part last month, for which I apologize. I was told there was a cake and a presentation, and I announced a cake and a presentation, and I had no idea there was a video, and we blew right past the video. So my apologies to IVC and to the president, who has an opportunity tonight to remedy my mess from last month, and I appreciate you coming forward with it. So here we go.
Very good. President Wagner, Board of Trustees, thank you for this opportunity to try this again. I'll be quick here so that we can get on to the video. But wanted to say it's my honor to be here this evening as the 6th president of Irvine Valley College. And for nearly a year now, as you know, we've been celebrating the 25th anniversary for the college. And last month this culminated with some very special tributes. And before I begin with some special recognitions and the video, I would like to take a few moments to thank and acknowledge all of the staff and faculty who came together this year to make our 25th anniversary so very special. A lot of work went into that. I can't even begin to name the names because I know I would forget someone. There's just so many people that have been involved. So let me just simply express a heartfelt thank you to everyone. But at this time, I would like to take a moment and share some well wishes that came from various dignitaries. Last month, a number of these were out on display here in the entryway. So let me just describe them quickly for you. There was a congratulations from Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, a certificate from Congressman John Campbell, a resolution from Senator Tom Harmon and Assemblyman Chuck DeVore, a certificate from Senator Mimi Walters, a certificate from Assemblyman Jeff Miller, a proclamation from the City of Irvine, proclamation from the City of Tustin, proclamation from Supervisor Bill Campbell, and a congratulations from the State Chancellor Jack Scott. In just over 2 decades, IVC has had a dynamic period of growth, as we all know, and we hope that you find this short documentary attempts to encompass all where we have been and where we're headed in the future as a college. Thank you again. Don't know. There we go. Welcome. This year we're celebrating Irvine Valley College's 25th anniversary. In just over 2 decades, IVC has grown from a small satellite campus to a standout among California's 112 community colleges. During the next few minutes, we'll be taking a look back to our college's humble beginnings on land that was formerly orange groves and lima bean fields. We also highlight our many accomplishments of the past few years and look forward to another dynamic period of growth during the next 25. Please join us in celebrating 25 years of student success.
I remember the first day we met on campus as we toured the campus with our president at that time, Edward Hart. We had an opportunity to look at the new classrooms, and the excitement that we all had was, wow, look at that, whiteboards. And we thought, gee, I wonder if you could actually put a transparency up there and outline something. And we just thought, it can't get any better than this in terms of technology.
We always felt it was kind of a unique place. And I think we also felt that it was special because a lot of us that got hired here at the beginning, the very beginning, or within the next year or so, felt like we had this kind of special opportunity to make it different than other community colleges.
Coming to IVC, or at that time Saddleback North Campus, was like dying and going to heaven, I got to tell you. It was just a great experience, small school, getting started, exciting to be a part of the beginning of this college, and over the years watching it grow and develop, and you can't have a better job, I don't think, than being a community college professor.
It was really nice to work with everybody, and we just were one big happy family.
The one particular thing that has always differentiated Irvine Valley College from every other community college at which I have taught is the friendliness, openness, kindness, willingness to help students.
Okay, looking forward for the next 25 years, it would be wonderful if we had the same level of success we've had the last 25, and I think we can.
What I like most about IVC is the faculty and how they try and find common ground with their students rather than just teaching them what they need to know and moving on with their lives.
Happy 25th anniversary, IVC. Happy birthday, IVC.
Ready? Let's go. Big blue. Let's go. Big blue. Let's go. Big blue. Happy birthday, IVC. Let's go, IVC.
Happy birthday, IVC. As the new faculty member in the English department, I enjoy using technology in my classroom, such as podcasts and Blackboard, and I look forward to teaching my students to write in the 21st century.
Happy birthday, Irvine Valley College. As a new professor, I'm looking forward to carrying on the tradition in the future.
As you can see, IVC has a lot to be proud of. Our year-long celebration began in January 2010 with the Silver Anniversary Flex Week breakfast for faculty, staff, and members of the community. It was highlighted in June by a gala fundraiser and musical review, Broadway Stars, which raised over $20,000 for student scholarships. Our anniversary celebration winds down with a week-long series of campus events in October. This includes a 25th anniversary cake-cutting ceremony in the Performing Arts Center for faculty and students. This mirrors a similar cake cutting during the dedication of the college in 1985. We've come a long way. In October 1985, at our dedication, we had 6,000 students, 45 full-time faculty members, and 3 academic schools. In October 2010, I'm very proud to say that we now have more than 15,000 students, over 123 full-time faculty, and approximately 344 adjunct instructors. And there are now 12 academic schools and instructional offices. Throughout Irvine Valley College's first 25 years, the college, the district, and the Board of Trustees have remained firmly committed to serving the needs of Orange County's residents. We will continue to do so for the next 25.
Madam Secretary, any requests from the public to speak? All right, let's move on at this point to board reports. Trustee Jay.
Yes, first off, congratulations to IVC on the wonderful presentation you gave us on your 25th anniversary here. You've done a great job, and it certainly has grown. I remember walking through that bean field and through the orange groves and kicking clods of dirt out of the way. And it's really blossomed beautifully in those 25 years. Secondly, I'd like to offer congratulations and thanks to Don Wagner, who's been president of our board for, I don't know how many years it has been now, Don, but I know 6 of those years you served as president, and nobody else has approached that. And secondly, congratulations and thanks to Dixie Bullock. When you listed all those positions you went through, I think there were more that you skipped, too. So you've been back here since you've retired several times, as well as time at the IVC campus, too. Lastly, congratulations to Marcia Milchiker, to Nancy Padberg, and to R.J. Prendergast, who is our newest board member and will be here officially next month. So congratulations, guys. You did a great job electioneering, and it was because you had a lot of student and faculty hard work that promoted you to additional terms. Thank you very much.
Trustee Williams.
Yes, I'll second that. I'd like to congratulate Trustee Wagner on his election to the Assembly and for your many years of dedicated service as a trustee. And I'd like to congratulate Trustees Milchiker and Padberg on your reelection, and Trustee-elect Prendergast and Dixie. Thank you again. But don't be a stranger. I'm sure we'll find something else. And thank you for your service.
Yeah, I'd also like to start out by congratulating Don Wagner, President Wagner, for his win to the Assembly, and now we know who we're going to meet with at the Legislative Task Force and ask for a special concession for the community colleges, so just be ready for that. We're really delighted that you won for that election, and want to congratulate my colleague Nancy Padberg and our newest board member, T.J. Pendergrast. Looking forward to working with all of you in the future. I want to thank my constituents for having enough confidence in me for reelecting me. And I want to thank all the wonderful people who endorsed me. I've got some incredible endorsements, and I want to really thank them because every endorsement meant a lot to me. And I want to thank the organizations that endorsed me. That just meant so much to me. And I love the colleges. I have to say, when I was watching the movie, I know I'm not old enough, but I was sworn in December of 1985. So I kind of feel like IVC is my baby also, along with my own babies, and Saddleback too. And I know from the very beginning when Irvine Valley College was first formed, Ed Hart had the idea that he was going to hire the best faculty he could. And this is at a time, these last 25 years, when it was really difficult for faculty to get good jobs. And we really got the best faculty at Irvine Valley and Saddleback College. And that's what makes these colleges great. So I just want to thank everyone. And I will pledge to always think of students first and to always be ethical and to do my best for the colleges in the next 4-year term. I also want to say briefly that a professor of geography, Maureen Smith, invited me to come to her class today. She had a poster session. She teaches cultural geography 2 honors, and the poster session was just like you have in graduate school or when you go to scientific meetings or medical meetings. And she had the subject was the geography of death, and it sounded like a strange subject, but it was wonderful. They had posters on the Somali Civil War, alcoholism in Russia, heroin in Afghanistan, blood diamonds in Africa, the drug war in Mexico, and so many really incredible things that are going on in this nation where people are dying because of what's happening because of the geography and the social construct of the particular areas. So I'm just so proud of this college, and it was a wonderful thing to go to. And I once again invite anyone who wants me to watch their class or come to any particular presentations. I'll be delighted to do so. Thank you.
Mr. Maverick?
Well, I hate to sound like a broken record here, but I just want to congratulate Trustee Wagner for his election to the Assembly, and we'll miss you tremendously, as well as his replacement, T.J. Prendergast, and Trustee Milchiker. I want to thank any and everyone who supported me, and I just really appreciate all of the congratulations that I received from so many of the staff, and that means a lot to me. In addition to the election, I, as you know, am a big athletic fan, and my husband is the end zone cameraman for Saddleback College, who are now number 2 in the state. And I have attended at least 3 football games since the last board meeting, and we will be playing Cerritos this Saturday and a playoff game, hopefully advancing on. So I'm very proud of Saddleback's accomplishments in their state championships. The men's basketball team is the state champions this year. So in any event, I'm looking forward to another term. And I talk about records. Trustee Milchiker has been, I think, probably the longest standing trustee in the state.
No, not the state, but in the district.
Sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. There's a lot of districts up north where they've served forever.
Forever? Well, you're challenging them for their records.
I guess I am. Thank you.
How many years is it?
25 years, just like Irvine Valley
Wow.
College. And
I
it's
couldn't believe that.
really flown by, I have to say. I love the colleges, so thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate the offers of congratulations from this board and from staff in the community. I very much appreciate those. And the folks on this board who stood for election, me and Trustees Milchiker and Padberg, had a, I think, very solid record to run on, and that was reflected in the results. You are both to be congratulated, and you will both have your charges for the next 4 years going forward. We know what the public wants, and you guys have been great and responsive. And I know that will continue. I've also had a chance to speak, as I said a few minutes ago, to Trustee-elect Prendergast. He is going to be a very solid addition to this board, and I look forward to watching from a different perch as you folks go about your business, doing the great work for the students that have been done for so many years in the past. And I can't think of anyone I would rather ride into the sunset with than Chancellor Bullock, who has been an absolute gem in so many capacities, and I have very much leaned on her and appreciated her wise counsel in the last 6 months. It has been just truly a pleasure to work with you, and you will be sorely missed, perhaps more so than me. I'm under no illusions about that. That's why they're going to ask you to come back. All of you, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to have served, and I wish you all good luck in the future. Trustee Fuentes.
I certainly echo the congratulations that have been offered, and I want to wish everyone a very happy and holy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Not to be outdone by my colleagues, I'll also echo all of the congratulations that have been extended to Board President Don Wagner in your new post on the reelection of Trustees Milchiker and Padberg, and of course extend congratulations to our newest trustee, who will start next month, T.J. Prendergast. Since our last meeting, I had a chance to enjoy several district and college activities. I also have been attending a few football games, perhaps not as many as Trustee Padberg, but did go to the Saddleback Mount Sac game, probably one of the most thrilling games that I've seen, despite the unfortunate outcome at in the waning seconds of the game. Since then, of course, they did beat Fullerton. I wish them well against Cerritos this coming weekend. Last weekend, Julie and I enjoyed IVC's production of Bye Bye Birdie, and I want to thank President Rockmore for making that possible for us. We were very impressed by the talented performances of the cast, as well as the wonderful sets. Really well done, and I would highly commend both the Saddleback and Irvine Valley College theater arts and music programs to all of you, and finally wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving.
Mr. President.
We have the student trustee.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I just want to say congratulations to Trustee Milchiker, Trustee Padberg, and Trustee Wagner. And I want to say thank you for Chancellor Bullock for making our meeting so special and getting to know everyone. And I also wanted to say I attended the Phi Theta Kappa Leadership Conference that was held in Irvine. And it was a weekend-long conference, and we got to have 2 keynote speakers, which was Alexis Ohanian, who was the founder of Reddit, and Mark Bauerlein, who was the author of The Dumbest Generation. And we were the host. IVC was actually the host chapter, so we represented the whole Nevada, California region, and we had 200 attendees. And I also wanted to say what Trustee Milchiker was talking about the poster session. I actually am taking World Regional Geography, and we actually have a poster session on November 23rd, so it's next Tuesday. So if any of you want to come, you guys can. It's going to be at the Irvine Valley College Performing Arts Center.
Thank you. You're welcome. Trustee Fuentes.
Mr. President, excuse me, usually I include a report from the Legislative Task Force, which I did not do, and I'd like to do that this time. The Legislative Task Force has kicked off the new legislative session. This year the group is being chaired by our colleagues at Coast Community College District. We're planning to continue with the advocacy website started by our district 2 years ago and have 2 special events planned. We'll be inviting legislators on the Education Committee to be at a luncheon at the Capitol in January during the Community College League of California Conference. We'll also be hosting our annual breakfast, which I hope you'll all attend, for legislators, and this year's showcasing the career technical education programs throughout the county. Even though the committee recognizes that there are no additional funding in Sacramento with a budget deficit, we will continue our educational efforts with legislators about the value of community colleges to students and our community. And of course, we have an interesting dynamic as regards Sacramento now. The new governor was himself once a community college trustee. Thank you.
Thank you. Chancellor Bullock.
Yes, thank you. And I'd congratulate you, but I just want to warn you that when people come see you, they've got something in mind. I want money. But this is my last board meeting. But I do want to thank the Board of Trustees for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. It is far beyond and far different than anything I ever expected. I don't know how I mean that. You just can't believe how much I have learned in this job. It is so different to anything that I've done. And, I've just had to be a real estate agent and a builder and a consultant and anything else you could think of. But it's been a wonderful experience. I do want you to know that I've been meeting with Chancellor Poertner, and he and I are working on a smooth transition, although we've worked together for many, many years, and so we don't have a lot of catching up to do except for the past 5 months. I just want you to know, and I think you probably do anyway, how special this district is. And I wouldn't keep coming back if I wasn't having fun, because I don't believe in doing things that you don't have fun doing. But I already knew that the staff, faculty, leadership team, everyone at the colleges was wonderful, but I didn't know how wonderful the district people are until I got here. And they've been wonderful to me. They would do anything for me. And as President Wagner said, our staff really do make us look good. I don't know what I would have done without especially Robina Allen, Grace Garcia, and the other folks around the office up there. But it's just been a wonderful experience, and I really want to thank the board for allowing me to do this. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any board requests for reports? No written requests? Okay. All right. Hearing none, we will move to our discussion item for the month, and this is the Saddleback College and IVC accountability reporting. And we will turn it over to Dr. Bermucci.
Thank you, President Wagner. Each year since 2004, the California community colleges have released a performance measurement report called the ARC report for the accountability reporting for community colleges. Here to present summary data for Irvine Valley College and Saddleback College are Christopher Tarman and Nicole Ortega. Are you going to go? Okay, well, Chris is going to kick us off then.
President Wagner, members of the board, it's my privilege to be here to present the results for IVC. It's not often you get to drag all your researchers out from their research cave, so this is a special moment to see what we really look like. And we do dress up, so the numbers are a little more palatable for the general public. Glenn, this suit will be back dry cleaned before the weekend, just so you know. So to put the numbers into context for you today, I wanted to put it in respect to the peer group methodology that the state provides. Just to give you context, because if you hear 63% achievement rate, what does that mean? How do we compare to other colleges? And so I wanted to start off by just kind of giving just a brief statement of what a peer group methodology is. And for each of these 7 measures that we're going to present tonight, the peer groups shift depending on the type of variables that are important that drive that particular measure. And those are types of measures that are uncontrollable by the colleges. Things like educational attainment of the service area, for example. You can see how that would relate to achievement rates. And so when I go through the charts, you can see where Irvine Valley College will fall versus the peer group average. What is the high for that peer group? What is the low for that peer group? And so quickly you can kind of see where we're at. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to explain with regression analysis and cluster analysis of how they determine that, but that would bore everybody. Just as a quick summary, Irvine Valley College has done really well. It's nice to see the data back up. One of the commendations that we received from our accreditation site visit, that they were very impressed with the amount of student learning that is going on in our classrooms, and the data does bear that out. Across the 7 measures in the ARC report, Irvine Valley College is above the peer group average. Just as a point of clarity, too, on the statewide average, we're well above the statewide averages as well. And on most of those measures, we're near the top of our peer group. Also, for the 5 measures that I want to look at a trend line, there's 2 at the end that there's some data methodology problems that are good to go over time to look at. But of 5 of the measurements, we've increased on 3 of them and stayed stable on the other 2, and none of them are decreasing. So I'm not going to get too specific. I know I have to be quick, and Nicole wants her time in front of the camera. So the first chart measures student progress and achievement rates. And as you can see, the blue line, which represents Irvine Valley College, is near the top, 65.9%, which is near the top of the peer group at 67.3%. There's a definition of what an achievement rate is. I'm not going to get into the definition there, but you can see it. Again, we're always here for you to explain those things in person if you'd like. The next data measure is the percentage of students that earned over 30 units. Again, Irvine Valley College, 74% of the students are there, which is near the top of the peer group average. Persistence rates. These are the percentage of first-time students with a minimum of 6 units earned in a fall term and who returned and enrolled in a subsequent fall term. 75.9% persistent rate, which again is near the top, and you can see it's one of our increasing indicators. Those are 3 overall measures for all our students. The next few kind of break down by subgroups of our students, and the first one I'm going to report on is for our career technical education students. And this is our successful course completion rates. Here's one of the ones where we are slightly below the average of our peer group. As you know, Irvine Valley College has a smaller career technical education program. However, it's building up, and I think Dr. Gatewood's doing a really nice job in driving that program. And it does show a stable completion rate there. The next one would be students who are enrolled in our basic skills courses, English and math. Here we lead our peer group at 74% of having an annual successful course completion rate. The successful course completion rate would be a successful grade, A, B, C, or credit, versus all the other types of grades you can receive. So these are the students that have moved on and gotten a C or better, basically. The last measure, there's 2 of them, and these are our basic skills and English as a second language learner students. This is the one where the measures by the state, we just went through a process of kind of recoding our data. All the colleges across the state did this. Without getting too much detail, it was quite a process involving our faculty to recode our courses properly so we can see an actual improvement rate. So the past data probably wasn't too accurate. In fact, if you looked at the past reports, they look, as data analysts, we like to call it hinky. That's a technical term for don't look quite right. So these are our measures here. Again, we're above the average on both of the measures. We have a 62% improvement rate on our credit basic skills courses, a 37% improvement rate for our credit ESL courses. And as we improve that coding methodology, I think over time, then we can measure that improvement rate much better than we have in the past. So that's what I have for our ARC report, and I'm going to turn it over to Nicole Ortega from Saddleback. Thank you.
Good evening, President Wagner, Chancellor Bullock, and members of the board. As Chris mentioned, my name is Nicole Ortega, and I'm a research analyst at Saddleback College. Since Chris provided background of the ARC report, I'm just going to go ahead and dive right into the data for Saddleback College. The first slide shows table 1.1, which is student progress and achievement. This is the percentage of first-time students who have attempted a degree, certificate, or transfer course within 6 years after their initial term. As you can see, the most recent cohort has a 60.9% progress and achievement rate, which is up 0.1% over the previous cohort. Following up on that, Table 1.8 shows the percent of students who've earned at least 30 students. This again is first-time students who within the first 6 years of entry have at least earned 30 units. Again, this is up, as we can see, 0.1% with 76.9 in the most recent cohort as opposed to 76.8% in the previous cohort. Table 1.2 shows our persistence rate, which was 75.4% when we followed students who had initially enrolled in fall 07 and then returned to enroll in fall 08. That is up 1% from the previous cohort, which enrolled in fall 06 and then re-enrolled in fall 07. Table 1.3 shows our annual successful course completion rate for credit vocational courses. These are students who are enrolled in credit vocational courses, so SAM-coded A, B, and C courses, who have successfully completed the course. The rate is 76% for the most recent cohort in the 08-09 academic year, and this is down 0.2% from the previous cohort. Table 1.4 shows our annual successful course completion rate for credit basic skills courses. This is the success rate of students enrolled in courses with a CB08 designation, a designation of B in the CB08 category. We are up 3% with a rate of 64.9% in the 08-09 academic year as compared to 61% in the 07-08 academic year. Our table 1.5 shows our improvement rates for ESL and basic skills courses. We are down slightly by 2.4 percentage points in the most recent cohort as opposed to the previous cohort for our ESL improvement rate. However, we have improved by 1.8 percentage points in the basic skills improvement rate. Our table 1.6 shows the career development and college preparation progress and achievement rates. We are down 3.9%. However, we are, as I'll get to in following slides, our strategic plan has specific goals that are intended to increase our student success with regard to specific basic skills courses. Table 1.7 shows our annual unduplicated head count. We are up 7% in 08-09 as opposed to the 07-08 unduplicated head count. And we are up 5% in our FTES in 08-09 as compared to 07-08. Table 1.11 shows our peer grouping, which Chris has explained in his presentation. Out of these 7 indicators, we are above average in 5 of the indicators and below average in 2. Overall, our summary shows that of the 10 indicators covered in tables 1.1 through 1.7, we've increased in 8 indicators and decreased in 2. Overall, there was no major changes in the data when comparing most recent years. More specifically, there was no more than a 4% change in any one indicator. And again, of the 7 indicators in the peer grouping table, we were above average in 5 indicators and below average in 2 indicators. To address the indicators that we have the greatest opportunity to improve in, which include the basic skills and ESL, Saddleback College's strategic plan includes goals that specifically focus on improving student success in basic skills. And that is our presentation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Trustee Milchiker.
I just want to say, after the election, I started reading the board agenda, and this board agenda item is called Focus on Results. It's the report from the State Chancellor's Office on the accountability reporting for all the California community colleges, and I was even more impressed and proud of the community colleges for the incredible difference they made in our state. I just have to mention it just briefly that the people that in the state that completed a vocational degree had their wages jump from $25,000 to $57,000, a jump of over 100%. And all across the state, out of every 90 out of every 1,000 people either attend a community college or are helped by a community college. And Irvine Valley College was just stellar, and Saddleback College was close behind in all areas of reporting except one which could be because of the way it was reported, it was explained in the report, and they're certainly going to work on it in any event. But I'm so proud of our community colleges, and I would recommend anyone read that. It was just you'd really be proud of our colleges if you complete it, and thank you so much for your report.
Thank you. Trustee Jay.
Yes, I've been bragging all over about the two colleges in this district and the fact that Irvine has the highest transfer rate of any one of the 112 community colleges, and that Saddleback has the third highest transfer rate of all 112 community colleges. I wish you'd put that in your report next year. The form you used may not have had that information requested, but I think we deserve bragging rights, and certainly the trustees do, for the job that you guys are doing. So thank you very much.
Trustee Lang.
Yes, my agenda item indicates that a discussion will be led by Presidents Burnett and Rockmore regarding these performance indicators. So I'm just hoping that maybe the two of you gentlemen would weigh in a little bit on your interpretation of the results relative to each of your respective colleges, and what your takeaway from this is, and where to go from here.
That is a wonderful question, Trustee Lang. Thank you. First, I'm glad you asked it because, as Nicole Ortega had mentioned, our strategic planning effort you've been working on strongly over the last year specifically looked at student preparedness and success. And I'm very pleased that basically, in fact, I just sent you all a press release today on the 2020 vision that came out, and we focused on some of our strategic planning specific goals, strategic directions, goals, and strategies that are directly impact these rates. I did also want to talk about, I was just sidebarring here with my colleague as well as talking earlier with our researchers, these ARC report data are good. They're good to look at us on a statewide basis to give us a general idea. But frankly, every college is different, and we have goals that we need to achieve for our particular student population. Saddleback College is currently, right now, led by our Director of Planning and Research and Grants, Gretchen Bender, as well as Shuka and Nicole, who are over there, are developing actually our own baseline data that we want to use to look at what we think are the most successful attributes and things we need to look at for our student success. Next year, we're going to be bringing to you the first base data of that. So to dig down deeper to our college, what are the completion rates, what are the success rates, what are the student preparedness rates and basic skills, et cetera, that we really should focus on our campus. I'll be honest, the ARC data is nice, but if you look at it and if you dig deeper, it's not 100% helpful, I believe, in showing what we need to work on. But it is some of the data that we need to do for the state and we need to do also for the college. So that's just a quick summary of where we're going to go on this type of data.
You know, I would share that analysis. I think it's important that to realize that the data is showing two high-quality institutions as you look at the data across the board. If there are small drops or where you fit in terms of an average, if you try to analyze that, it'll cause you to get into actually what these cohorts are. We have no control over the cohort, as Chris had mentioned originally. Colleges are very different, and so what their score is relative to ours may not be comparable within the students that we serve. Nonetheless, this is a very important exercise, and we do use it, as Saddleback does, to put that into our strategic planning and create goals around them. And I feel that has been very effective for us in terms of particularly basic skills. The one area that we saw basically right below the average is in the career technical area, education area. Being a relatively new college in 1985, we're really not rich in the CTE programs like a lot of the older colleges are. We are building that, and ATEP is going to be very helpful to us in that endeavor so that we can actually bring these completion rates up and create additional programs in career technical education.
Trustee Milchiker?
I just want to say the other thing that was, these reports are required to be presented to the Board of Trustees every year so that we could advise our college presidents what to do, but you already have it well in hand, so we don't have to tell you what to do, but keep on doing the good work you're doing. I just thought it was interesting how diverse our colleges are. You know, when some people say they're not diverse, they actually are. And Irvine Valley College is fully 28% Asian, only 44.4% traditionally white, Caucasian, non-Hispanic, and all the rest of the different ethnic groups are represented in big numbers. And it's just wonderful to see all these students coming together in the community colleges and achieving this great success at our colleges. So that's another thing that you base the standards on is the economic strength of the colleges, the ethnic background of the colleges, and there's a lot of things you base the accountability on, and compare the colleges to the other colleges, different colleges in their particular similar situations. Thank you.
Trustee Fuentes.
I'm wondering if next year, when this comes again to us, if we couldn't get some format of side-by-side that we could see the two colleges together from our perch, from our place. I think that it might be something useful to us. I realize they are independent reports, but I wonder if the presidents could collaborate in some way to show us something of a comparative, maybe graphically. The other item that I would ask, maybe for some feedback from both of you, in the area of English as a second language, it would appear that both colleges reflect those are areas where improvement could happen. And can you tell us a little bit about that, why that is, or where is the need, what is the issue here?
If you don't mind, Nicole, can you talk about that data we talked about it yesterday, about how it's calculated? That might give shed a little light and show that maybe it's not as bad as you're seeing it. So, do you mind? Thanks. At the podium, Nicole.
With regard to our ESL rates and our area of improvement definitely lies within the ESL, we are currently looking at the way in which our ESL courses are coded. And it appears that the majority of our ESL courses are coded at the same level, which would make it very difficult for a student to show progress in that area when the majority of the classes are at a single level. So they really have to show the smallest amount of improvement, they really have to progress into, they have to show a tremendous improvement in order to show improvement in ESL with the way our current coding system is working. So we're focused on that, and we are currently working with our curriculum specialists and ESL faculty to address the issue.
Yes. That quizzical look. And that's the look I gave as well. But
give me a translation.
What it means is because the way we are identifying these classes, it's really the data isn't a fair comparison compared to the ARC data. We need to go back and do our work to figure out how we have the proper data that can really prove and show what is the success rates with our students in ESL. That's what it comes down to. And that data is not even accurately reflecting it. So.
May I add something as well? I'm Denise Enseong. If I haven't seen you guys recently, I'm the District Director of Research and Planning. Another portion of the coding with the ARC report, a lot of our ESL population are doing it not to get a degree or certificate or to move on. So a lot of these rates may be looking at students who are taking ESL but don't have that educational goal of moving on. So that's part of the problem when we look at these progression rates, that these students are grouped into that area. And the state has had some papers on that saying we need to further define how we're coding and selecting the students who are getting put into the cohort. So I know it's not an easy area to review because they're grouping all English learners into one group.
This is also something recognized at IVC as well. So, but not to shatter the importance of this project. It is important. It has an accountability level to it. But you can't go too deep. You'll get into issues with the data at the state level. and how the cohorts are put together. And that's another reason why comparing between Saddleback and IVC could become a little problematical because of the differences between the two colleges. You wouldn't assume that we would be the same all throughout those data indicators.
Trustee Lang?
Yes, I guess just as a little additional follow-up, I think what I'm hearing both of you say is that we would never put out as a goal for either of the colleges that we would want to achieve a certain ranking relative to this ARC report, that the information is useful perhaps, but not specifically in terms of goal setting for the colleges?
Well, the way that I would answer that, and I'm not sure what Todd's going to say here, but no, we wouldn't use an absolute in terms of setting it as a target to reach within our planning. We do recognize that each of these data indicator areas are important. They've been identified as important areas by the State Chancellor's Office, and so we do put mechanisms in place to create improvements. And so it's not quite as quantifiable. It's more of a qualitative approach to increasing those numbers.
And as I mentioned, we're coming up with what base data we are going to look at, and it may very well be the actual ARC data that we use as our success rates and our goals. Our strategic plan simply just states now we want, for instance, a 5% increase in the success rates of basic skills. Well, we got to determine what does that 5% mean. We may use the ARC report data, or we may come up with our own data. That's what we are determining literally right now over the coming weeks.
Nothing else? Trustee Fuentes?
Do we have any knowledge of how other districts utilize this information? I mean, it's a lovely report to have, and it gives us a certain insight. But, for instance, does anyone use it to consider merit pay or some functional, worthwhile use other than a presentation to the board?
I'm pretty confident that nobody uses it for merit pay, but honestly, it's all over the board. I mean, there are some colleges that dismiss it entirely, all the way to some that probably use it very, very strongly. So I think I can honestly say that I think every college is probably different in district on how they use it. Now, they're required to use it, as you know, in the way that is, as the State Chancellor's Office requires us to make the report, requires us to do the report, et cetera. But every college is different.
How do the campuses utilize it? How do deans and the faculty see these results?
Well, from faculty perspective, I'd love to hear from our two faculty what they might think. Faculty leaders, that is.
Well, speaking for the faculty at IVC, I would say that the numbers that we view as they line up with our strategic planning and our efforts for improvement are then followed into the program reviews, the updates of the program reviews, and the changes or the modulations that we may make as discipline experts in an attempt to improve the program and the courses within it.
Okay. That's a model. There's a lot of ways to use it. But it's used. It's not ignored. We use it.
Well, if I may, I think, frankly, one of the intents of this is to create exactly what's happening here, is that it provides an opportunity to have a discussion on these areas with the trustees.
Further discussion? All right. Thank you. We are to the consent calendar, and let me ask my colleagues if there are any items they would like to pull. Wait. Seeing none, I'm going to pull 5.8. I originally did it for purposes of abstaining, but some issues came up at the audit committee meeting, so I'm going to pull 5.8. Any others? All right. Moved and seconded. Let's vote on the consent calendar. And the matter carries unanimously. 5.8 is the community ed, and as I said, I originally was going to pull it just to abstain. I've got a client on here, but there was a audit committee meeting right before this board meeting where it was indicated to us that IVC has a $188,000 deficit on the books for community ed. And the questions arose, where does that deficit come from? Why is there a deficit? And what funds are being used to cover it? Because it's an accounting deficit, obviously people are getting paid. So the money's got to be coming out of some funds. So the audit report will be to us next month. I won't be here, but those were the issues that were raised today.
Thank you, President Wagner. I've been asked to address that question, and the community ed situation is showing an expense ledger without realized revenues. What that means in plain language is most of the revenues for spring, for example, do not come in until August. We have a 5-year recovery plan for the community ed program. Each year, their deficit is getting smaller and smaller. Each and every community ed class offered makes money. Where it gets difficult for them is how much overhead expense you are charging against the program. So they are improving. They are up against stiff competition in the city of Irvine with their program, the competition that the city of Irvine has. Now, in addition to that, the other fee-based programs that are linked to community ed include contract education, as well as just drawing a blank on it. The testing center. We have one of the largest and most advanced testing centers in the country. That testing center made a profit of over $50,000 last year. When you consolidate all the fee-based programs, community ed, contract ed, and the testing center, the deficit shrinks dramatically. When you realize those revenues for spring, because the expense has been realized now, the revenue hasn't, the deficit gets a lot smaller. Each year their deficit is shrinking relative to the year before.
Well, let me suggest, Vice President Justice, that you chat with our auditors. Trustees William and Milchiker were there. They heard the same thing. Vice Chancellor Bouguet was there. It isn't shrinking. I'm told every year it's growing, and indeed over the last year it's increased $71,000, which is a more than 50% increase. So I think you're at odds with our auditors, and I'm kind of curious why. It's $188,000, and that's $71,000 more than it was last year, and it's been up every year. Correct me if I'm wrong, Saddleback is not running any deficit? So where's the disconnect, please?
I haven't seen the audit report, so I'm not able to answer that question right now. I can certainly look into it. I do know that the community ed budgets are calculated district-wide, so the deficit that IVC is running on a calculated basis is offset by the Saddleback profit. So we remain legal in that sense, but it's not a permanent, sustainable situation. We realize that.
Trustee Lang.
I think one of the things that you mentioned.
Wait, excuse me. I didn't recognize. Do you want to respond?
To give a kind of a 30,000 foot, not a statement of an excuse by any means. Our community education program, going back 2 presidents before me, has been in deficit, with the exception of 1 year that they made $50,000 that I recall. We have made many attempts to try to get that to a solvent level. One thing that Vice President Justice mentioned is that we are competing with the city of Irvine that has a very robust community education program. Saddleback enjoys a large population of folks that do take community education down in this part of the county. At one point a couple of years ago, we had actually considered dropping the community education program. And when that was floated, it was very clearly determined that you would have at the podium down here a very long line of seniors that would not be pleased with that, and we chose not to do that to you. And so that's where the 5-year plan has come from, that instead we're trying to put a financial plan in place that will actually take care of the problem. So I wasn't aware that it was growing. I also was of the belief that it was tapering and that was hopefully going to meet that 5-year benchmark. If that's not the case, we'll certainly re-engage with that and find out what is going on. The other thing is it hadn't ended up on the audit report until just a couple of years ago, and for whatever reason, I don't know, it was never called to our attention as an issue. But I do remember now over the last, probably 3 years ago was our first indication that there was an issue with the auditors, and so we have attempted to get ahead of it.
Trustee Lang.
2 questions just as a follow-up to Vice President Justice's comments. One is you had indicated part of this is a timing issue in which the revenue falls into the following fiscal year, and about any idea what that amounts to?
I can get that information for you. I don't know off the top of my head the exact figure. The last figure I saw in August was well over $40,000 just for that one semester.
Okay, which would still fall far short of the $188,000 that we're talking about here. And then the second question is you raised the issue of overhead burden, and I'm just interested to learn, I guess, how that's determined relative to the community education programs.
The community education regulations require that the staff in the program be 100% paid for out of community ed revenues. So we have one full-time person, part of a director's salary, part of a senior admin assistant's salary, and then a number of part-time workers that are charged off against the program.
But no other general campus overhead is charged against community education?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, thank you.
If it's a timing issue, may I inquire of President Burnett what you do differently so that you don't have at Saddleback the timing issue that IVC has?
I apologize, I can't answer that question. Possibly Vice President Boucher, do you have any idea? Would you have an idea on that? Yeah, I don't. I apologize. I can get it. I can get the information for you.
Okay. Trustee Fuentes.
The point was raised that the city of Irvine offers some competitive courses, so I don't understand why we would be in competition with any local community group who was providing a class that we would not have to provide. Seems to me that in and of itself would be reason to say we don't offer that class if it's already being provided. I mean, this is an era where at every level of government we have to start looking where we can save, and if it's being provided, why are we duplicating service?
May I address that? I don't believe we are duplicating the services. What we do is work with the city of Irvine. We have a list of their offerings, and basically we do not duplicate their offerings. We try to find niches where we can offer a curriculum that the public wants. It's a much smaller volume than, say, compared to Saddleback. Saddleback has a much larger program and makes a lot more revenue.
But one of your reasonings for the problem was that there is so much competition from the city of Irvine. So is there or isn't there?
No, it's, Trustee Fuentes, it's a volume issue. Is that with their very robust offerings, those are courses that we can't offer. We don't duplicate those. And because of the cost per faculty that you have to pay to run the course and the amount of profit that you make, you're going to make more money with a larger, more diverse program than what we're able to offer. You take a look at Saddleback's program. It's, in fact, I think you have full-time faculty in that program, don't you? Or is that emeritus? Okay. But it's a very large program compared to Irvine Valley College. So we're just under the economy scale. And your point's well taken. And again, we did consider whether or not we should even be running the program if it's not going to be effective in Irvine. And the feedback that we were getting from the students who are involved in that was they would hope that we wouldn't do that.
I'm sorry. Further? Trustee Jay.
Yes, I'm wondering, this goes way back 30 plus years, but when Ed Hart was the president of IVC and I was at Saddleback, my philosophy was that we offered everything as a credit course, and therefore you were paid as a credit course. And his philosophy was, hey, if you're teaching calculus to seniors in the Emeritus Institute, it should be a non-credit course. And we went back and forth on this for years. And of course, my main motivation was the fact, I don't care if the guy's 80 years old, I want him to get credit for taking calculus. And Ed's position was that Emeritus Institute should be a non-credit thing. Now, I don't know if that's still the case or not. It's been so many years, it may have all been changed. But I do know that credit courses pay a heck of a lot more back than non-credit. And non-credit tends to be the majority in many districts for community education classes, be they called Emeritus Institute or they're just community service classes and cooking or something, you know. So anyway, it may go back to our positions at that time. I don't know. Glenn and Todd, you might look into that. I may be all wet.
Trustee Jay, you're not all wet. The issues has changed a little bit. In fact, it's changing almost every week now with the budget fiscal crisis going on in the state. As you probably have heard, many of the courses, in particular non-credit courses, are under review at the very least.
Okay.
In fact, we recently have been gotten unfunded many of the recreational emeritus courses.
Yeah.
And so one thing about community ed, if I can put a plug in for, it gives us an ability to provide a fee for service to our community that wouldn't be able to have any longer the non-credit or even some of the credit options. So community ed is a very valuable and vibrant and important part, in particular going forward. So just to let you know that there is a change, but community ed is different than the emeritus. But we are switching, and I know IVC's done a lot of that, and a lot of credit to them of this, how both colleges are dealing with this, unfortunately, under fire, you might say, from the state of looking at our non-credit programs, and emeritus is a big part of it.
Yeah, I remember at one time a lot of the non-credit courses, and we didn't have many of them in IVC or Saddleback, were things like getting inside your pet's head, fly casting, lots of very interesting stuff, and a lot of people really wondered about these things. But I didn't feel they were appropriate in any program. But anyway, a lot of colleges, and Ed was pretty much an essentialist, as I was too, but anyway, we did have that difference of opinion.
Well, one of the big things that's going on right now, and we as a district and you as a board, and we deal with every day, is we are now being put in the spot because of lack of enrollment growth and apportionment and how we're funded, deciding what's our priorities. Sure. What are we going to do and what kind of services we're going to provide to meet our multiple mission. So when it used to be for credit, remember, because of our limits on growth, we can only provide, if we need a student that was taking a non-credit, you understand that.
You're limited the amount of credit you can.
You're potentially taking spots away from other students for transfer, degrees, career technical.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's a bigger question, and for another time. And welcome to the pool, TJ. It's warm. Come on in. Let me get back to the question on the table here. I look at Exhibit B, which is the one I focused on, the IVC community education, and each of these items lists an honoraria to an instructor, and it's never 100% or 110 or 120 or 150%. There's always something left over for us. Why are we running a deficit then? I mean, on all of these, it looks like IVC is making money. Where's the deficit coming from?
Every community ed course does make money. And again, the deficit, the source of the deficit is how much overhead is being charged against it. In other words, there are non-direct costs that are being charged against it, salaries of employees at the college. who run the program.
Chancellor Bullock.
I just thought maybe Irvine Valley College might take a look at their honoraria because it's quite different to Saddleback College's honoraria. That would make a big difference, I would think, whether you look at net or gross.
They were much bigger at Saddleback.
Right.
I noticed that.
Trustee Lang.
Yes, just in terms of dealing with the particular agenda item at hand, these are the courses that IVC is planning to offer for spring of 2011. I'm assuming timing-wise, you're bringing that to us tonight because this will have to go to print fairly soon.
That's correct.
And I guess the board is trying to get a sense of whether we need to start addressing this situation before we pass this particular agenda item tonight, whether we have the luxury of additional time in order to do that, sort of analyzing the fee against the cost structure with these programs in terms of, whether some changes need to be made. So some guidance here.
Yes, for the spring semester, the Community Ed Bulletin is scheduled to be printed in the month of early December, so timing is a serious issue.
Trustee Padberg. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do we have any sense, based upon expected enrollments, the fee structure that's here, the cost structure that's in place, that the overhead, as you say, that would be allocated against these programs, as to whether this spring program would cover its costs, generate a little bit of profit? What can you tell us about
the
that?
actual direct offerings and direct revenues of these courses themselves will be profitable. And if the board would like, I would be happy to bring a full rendering and report on these courses and the entire program in community services at your December board meeting, if you would like.
I think that would be helpful. It still doesn't address whether we have to get approval on this item tonight or not in order to meet deadlines for the December publication.
The publication can be delayed, of course, and it is a board decision. And that would simply perhaps jeopardize some of the marketing of the program, which might jeopardize revenues. So it is a choice that has to be made. My recommendation is to move forward as we have done in the past and address this in a multi-year plan as we are doing. That would be my recommendation.
All right. That being the case, I'll move this item for approval.
All right, moved and seconded for approval. There's at least one more request, well, two more requests to speak.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not calling the question.
I understand. Trustee Padberg.
I'd like to ask if this Exhibit B that's attached is the same or is it considerably different from what the program was last year when we ran the deficit. Obviously, you didn't have the audit report, so you didn't know of these concerns until tonight. But obviously, if we go forward, and I am going to support the item, I would like to see a report back maybe in 3 months to see what's been done to try to correct this. And but do you have an idea whether there's an increase in the fees or in the gross or any of that from last year when the deficit is the figure that we have for tonight out of the audit committee?
The fees are slightly higher. There are additional courses that have never been offered before, including yoga and some of the fitness courses. We also have a linked community ed course with each and every emeritus course that we offer. We call them hybrids. And when the state was challenging the funding for the non-credit, no tuition courses, we linked them up so that we did not have to cut sections the way other colleges did. We linked them up with a community ed. That revenue stream has not been fully comprehended in anybody's report yet, but we can do that as well. It looks very promising, actually.
Trustee Fuentes.
Just to dig in, I found that answer to my question. Thank you.
Call the question.
All right. Seeing no further requests to speak, let's go ahead and vote on the item. All right. And the matter carries with one abstention. I have had a request for a break, which I will honor, and then we will come back and do the rest of the calendar. Let's take a 5-minute recess.
No. I mean, the bottom line is they follow the rules of the campaign. What you do is you put minimum threshold, you stick by it, and you lost one semester. No matter the case, you lost one semester. And you can't grieve a non-evaluation by the time you're done. I mean, there was no basis for the grievance, but Marin has a rabbit union that needs to be crushed. So, I mean, they're really bad. Those are really bad. I've heard people heard that way. There's no comparison. But the best part is the stories came from the class. Did
Karima have some gems?
She did. Oh, she did. Karima actually is a shot at the star in that group. She played the part of a rabbit union steward.
Oh, I bet she does. She's good at that.
And this is what they do to me.
Did you do your thing for the...
You're ready to record. He's off all next week.
Because it's upstairs on my work computer. Just have to wait until
This is your mother talking.
I think that's what he thinks he's in. Faculty member by faculty.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Trustee Lang.
I guess a question for President Rockmore. I wanted to really find out whether this was going to launch a new curriculum program for IVC, or how it fits in with the existing programs. This is the grant, the subaward grant, DOLETA.
There we go. Let's see. Yes, this is actually a subcontract, and the primary college for this, I thought, was Santa Monica. It doesn't say right here. I haven't turned to
Yeah, it does say
item.
Santa Monica.
Yes. And so we're subbing with them, and so we're providing training for a part of a consortium with Santa Monica College.
Will this be a brand-new curriculum for IVC in terms of the course offerings?
Well, you know,
related to
it's
this?
actually, I believe it's contract training, so it wouldn't be curriculum that would be approved.
Ah, okay. All right, thank you.
Trustee Milchiker?
The only thing I wanted to say was that it looks like we're in partnership with Santa Monica College, but it looks like over the next 3 years we're going to get 1,200 people jobs in the community in the new green industry. So I think this is going in the right direction. So I'm thanking you for that.
Trustee Padberg?
Well, I just want to compliment IVC on receiving this grant, and $530,000 today is nothing to sneeze at, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Trustee Fuentes?
Glenn, can you explain, when we get a grant like this, say it's $530,000 over 3 years, and we build the infrastructure to deliver it, what happens at the end of that when the funding runs out from the grant?
In terms of staff, for example, we had probably, this thing isn't very sensitive, probably, I don't know, it's been around 8 years ago now that HR had developed a process by which we can hire staff contingent upon the availability of funding. Now, prior to that, we did have problems with hiring staff that then would have to go into the general fund after a grant ended, but that's no longer true. So they're hired temporarily through the duration of the grant. At the end of that, then they're let go.
Okay, and Dr. Bouguet, is that still the situation? It is. Thank you.
All right, see no more requests. Let's vote on the item. Matter carries unanimously. 6.2, reorganization of IVC, and it is back to us from last month.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. Matter carries unanimously. 6.3, faculty hiring for both Saddleback and IVC. Moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. Matter carries unanimously. 6.4, discussion or approval, a bunch of revisions to board policies.
Move approval.
Moved for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Trustee Milchiker.
I think they look all fine to approve to me. I would just, did we move to approve them?
Yeah.
Okay.
The motion was to approve.
Yeah, but the one question I have is just on the first policy. It said Code of Ethics for members of the Board of Trustees, standards and practice. It's exactly the same, but we crossed out the words for the members of the Board of Trustees. And I guess you could say that since it's in the board manual, you know it's for the Board of Trustees. But if you leave in the words for members of the Board of Trustees, it kind of emphasizes more that it's the Code of Ethics for the Board of Trustees. Does the staff have any comments on that? It certainly is a small item.
This item, in essence, we're going through all the board policies, and we're looking at each one of them and trying to make sure they're current. In this case, you'll see it was revised back in 2003.
Yeah.
And so what we did is we updated it according to the current CCLC recommendations, and this is the current language.
So they recommended you take out the words for the members of the Board of Trustees, just leave in the words Code of Ethics, Standards and Practice?
Yes,
Is that what
ma'am.
they recommend?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a problem with it. It seems to clarify more if you leave it in, but I'll go along with it.
Okay.
No further discussion. Let's vote on the item. Matter carries unanimously. We're here on 6.5, board policy revisions. It's for approval. Moved and seconded. Discussion? Matter carries unanimously. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Where is it? Let's vote.
Let's vote.
I voted yes. What did the rest of you do? All right. There we go. Matter carries unanimously. It's been a long 12 years. All right. Item 6.6 is here for approval. It's the academic personnel action items, and I'm going to start with Chancellor Bullock.
Administration would like to pull.
Your mic, excuse me.
Administration would like to pull A1, little a, on page 1, and would like to pull B1 on page 2.
B1 on page 2. Okay. All right, they would like to pull on page 1, A1A, and I will discuss that in a moment. And the other one is B1, Dean of Online Education and Learning Resources. Now, let me clarify for the board why I've requested, and it was my request and backed up by board leadership, to pull A1A. That is an issue that has been of some contention in front of the board a number of times, and it was pulled from last month's calendar because, frankly, it was an issue in my election, and I heard opponents of both Trustees Milchiker and Padberg raise it in their elections, and we decided, with administration's concurrence, to remove that contentious item in advance of the elections. I think it is wrong and cynical for us to then put it right back on the agenda the following month. We're going to have a new trustee in my seat. We'll leave it at that for these items to come back at some future time when it is appropriate and when folks who have voted for or against, depending on the various issues, are not standing for election and the public has an opportunity to see what's happening here. Some of the personalities that have been involved in this contentious issue will be removed from it. And that's why I requested of administration and why the two of my colleagues who were up for election also agreed, discretion being the better part of valor and the public not deserving us to pull a fast one on them, that we handle it this way. So that, to my colleagues on the board, is the reason behind the request that we pull item 1, A1A. Trustee Padberg.
Yes, I think that this item should return at a later date, and I will support the item at the time. I actually wanted to talk about B1.
Okay.
Are we going to vote for these individually, or
No,
they're going to be pulled?
These have been pulled, but go ahead and, if you want to discuss it.
I just wanted to say that this position and another one under the classified item, which is coming next, are new positions, and we are in the middle of having an outside consultant do a study of positions as well as salaries. And I would like to have that study, which we expect will come hopefully in January or early next year, before we create new positions. But I am in support basically of both of the items. But I think if we're going to pay for an outside consultant, we need to listen to what they say before we go around creating new administrative positions.
Trustee Lang.
Yes, I guess relative to A1A, first of all, this is an item that has now come to us for the second time. We're talking about delaying it again, and I would ask that specifically that it come back at our December meeting, when we will have a full complement of the ongoing board.
Except at the December meeting, it seems as though we may not have a full complement, which was the point of the special meeting earlier today. But
nevertheless, my concern is this item has been just delayed too long already, and we need to come to some closure on it. So that's my comment on that. And I guess before I decide one way or the other on B1, I'd like to...
There's nothing to decide.
Oh. Okay. So
you can express concerns and issues about it, but administration has requested that it be pulled from the agenda, which typically is a request that has been granted. They want to bring it back later. But you can ask why and discuss the issue. It's properly agendized for discussion.
Okay, well, that's fine. Perhaps I could hear from the college president as to why you're interested in delaying this.
I'll be honest, I'm not personally interested in delaying it, so that's the first thing. Second, just wanted to respond regarding the classification study. This dean position is already a dean. It's already classified. So the classified study would not change anything to do with this position or, frankly, any other dean position, except as a whole category of deans. So from the classification study, and just Trustee Padberg, I don't think it would have any relevance for this particular position with the classified study. But as far as that, no, this is a position that you approved last meeting on our reorganization plan. It's been well thought out, been through our college process over and over above. It's been funded for 3 years. It's already replacing a position at the college, like I said, has been funded for 3 years before. So it's the same thing we talked about at last meeting.
All right, so I think what I'm hearing then is that in the case of both A1A and in the case of B1, there really isn't administrative support to pull these items, and therefore I think we ought to vote on them tonight.
Well, let me get clarification. Trustee Padberg, and then we'll go to the Chancellor.
I'd just like to respond that we did approve the reorganizational program. I'm just asking that this be delayed until, and it has been by being pulled, until we get more information. And I think that's reasonable. The more information we have, the better we can make knowledgeable decisions. So that's the whole point of my discussion.
Well, then
excuse me. And it may have been on your mind or on your table for some time. It hasn't been in front of us. So I think that's what this is all about. It has not been approved. You may have had it in your study, but the board has not approved it.
And neither item last month was on the academic personnel action approval list.
Okay, so
neither made it to that list.
Okay, then let me understand. Are we voting on items being pulled from the agenda, or is board leadership arbitrarily pulling these items?
Board leadership, in concurrence with the Chancellor, is exercising the same rights you did as board president to control the agenda, which is in our board policy.
Never exercised.
So sure you did. You and Ragu pulled stuff all the time, Dave.
No, did not. Absolutely did not.
absolutely did on numerous occasions, because I sat in some of those leadership meetings with you when we discussed items that would be pulled. That said, administration has requested these items be pulled. I, not only as board president, concur, but and I think have explained why, with respect to one of them at least, it would be bad public policy to take a vote right now. If you wanted to come back in December, work with Gary, who will be the chancellor then, work, I suppose, with Trustee Padberg, who as vice president will fill in for a short period of time at least as board president, but that's the way these items have come to us tonight, and that's the recommendation of administration, which is absolutely consistent with board policy and the practice of this board for 12 years at least. Further discussion on the item? All right, we are voting on the item as amended. Oh, yes, ma'am.
This is just so that we know how to move forward with it at our college. Trustee Padberg, could you tell us what type of information you are looking for? And I don't know about the IVC position. It's inappropriate for me, frankly, as a Saddleback.
I'm just saying that we are paying an outside consultant to come back with recommendations on positions and salaries, and I want that information. I have been told it will come early in the year. So why would we want not to use that information when we're making a decision about new positions?
Do we? I'm sorry. And I'm sorry, obviously I was not in this conversation. What's the name of the outside consultant that's being used for salaries and positions?
I'll let our Chancellor respond.
It's Marlis Grote.
And, well, we use her for everything, actually. Every time we send up a position, Marlis Grote reviews it, sends it back, looks at it and says, this is what, I mean, she's the person who does every single position.
But in this case, she was hired to do a total administrative and classified management organizational study.
Right. And so the scope of it, I guess I can get from you. I can get that from you later on.
You can deal with administration to get that information later.
Sure. Okay.
All right. We are voting on the item 6.6 as amended.
Trustee J?
Trustee J. Minus the two positions.
Minus 1A1 and 1B.
B1.
B1.
Okay.
Yes, I move it. If it hasn't been.
All right, and there's a second. I think it had been done. Trustee Jay, your vote, please. Matter carries unanimously. We're at item 6.7, which is the classified personnel action items, also here for approval and or ratification. And Chancellor Bullock.
Administration has to pull.
Mike.
I always forget that. Administration asked to pull B1 on page 6, C2 on page 7, and E1B on page 8.
Move the balance.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Trustee Padberg.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Seeing no discussion, let's vote on the item as amended. Matter carries unanimously. We're at item 6.8, and this is the employment agreement for Gary Poertner as Chancellor. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Seeing none, we'll vote on Chancellor designate Poertner's contract, and it carries unanimously. We're at item 7.1, an information item. Questions or comments? 7.2, the basic aid report. Questions or comments? 7.3, facilities plan status report. 7.4, quarterly investment report. 7.5, quarterly financial status report. And finally, item 7.6, non-resident tuition fees. Discussion, questions, comments? We are at item 8, which are the reports of the various members of the front row. President Burnett.
Well, I guess for the last time, Mr. President. First, congratulations to Trustee Padberg and Milchiker for your wonderful re-elections. And of course, Mr. President, congratulations on your election. You'll make a fine assemblyman, and we wish you the best of luck in Sacramento. And, of course, I also would like to wish congratulations. I don't know if it's fully official yet, but I think it is, for the new trustee, TJ Prendergast. Just to let you know that last week we had wonderful Veterans Day weekly activities. Some of you trustees attended. Thank you very much for your support. It was the first time that actually our Student Veterans Club organized the event, the Veterans Day ceremony. Our foundation did a wonderful chili bowl, raised a few $1,000s, as well as other events that happened throughout the week. So we're very thrilled of what they did. As Trustee Padberg had mentioned, we're very proud that our football team made it into the playoffs, and this Saturday at 6 o'clock, we'll be playing at Saddleback on the first playoff game. We are seeded number 2, and if we win, we get to go have a rematch with the number 1 seed, which we're looking forward to. I would also like to, we have invitations in front of you for the Feast of Lights. If you've been before, it's an absolutely fantastic program, which I might say that our wonderful Dr. Dominguez, actually, her and Dr. Farthing in the choir actually put together, and I hope that you can join us, you and your family. There's also a lot of other great performances in our performance arts program. I hope you can attend. Speaking of community education, yesterday we just opened our brand new community education office down in the lower campus to make closer to their College for Kids program and Junior Gaucho program and all the other programs we do. It's a fantastic facility. A lot of credit goes to Estella Garrison, our community ed director, as well as John Ozurovich and our maintenance and facilities folks. Really, you should go down and see it. They did it for a very low budget and did a beautiful job. We're very thrilled with that facility. It will really help our programs. Finally, I do want to thank the board very much for asking the questions you did on the ARC report as well as other items. This is the type of discussions that we at the college would love to have with you, is how we can improve our student success rates. And that the ARC stuff is demonstrative of that. So I want to thank you all for that discussion. Keep the questions coming. Oh, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
President Rockmore.
I'd like to start again with a farewell to President Wagner. Thank you very much for all you've done for the college and the district. We deeply appreciate it. And also farewell to Dixie. As I've stated before, we've been vice presidents together, presidents together. You've worked for me, and now I've worked for you. And I say in all of that, you've definitely been a strong mentor for me, and I've learned a lot from you. Congratulations to Trustee Padberg and Trustee Milchiker for your reelection. That's wonderful. I'd like to announce, it's hot off the presses, that our golf team are state champions.
Wonderful.
And so that's a good one for us at Irvine Valley College. Also to note in front of you, the yellow booklet there is our brand new student services student handbook. And so this is a guideline for students to use outside of the catalog that helps them register and find counselors and do all the things that they need to do. And that was spearheaded by Vice President of Student Services, Gwen Plano, and also Elaine Rubenstein helped with the editing of that. Yes, there it is. Thank you very much. And then finally, on October 25th, IVC celebrated Disability Awareness Month, and we had a wheelchair basketball team demonstration and a game. And as part of that, I, along with some counseling faculty and some of the student services staff, had the opportunity to play basketball from the chair. And I tell you, that's one of the hardest things that I've ever done. It is amazing. And then to watch the players do it with such ease, it's just an incredible thing to see. So I'll end with that, and thank you.
Thank you. Provost Peebles.
Thank you, and I'd like to echo the congratulations to the trustees and also thank and congratulate Don on his new office with the state. It's been a pleasure working with you as a board president. My sincere thanks and appreciation to Chancellor Dixie Bullock, certainly on her leadership and resolve that has obviously moved ATEP in a very positive direction in many ways, and I'm sure we'll see some of those things play out in the next few months. It'll be even more apparent of the great progress we've made. Of just a significant thing that's happening here in the next 2 weeks is the demolition will actually begin on the first smaller buildings on the old ATEP site for the in Tustin Legacy, and we do hope when we move forward, probably in 3, 4, 5 months, in the demo of the larger hangar, to look forward to a possible event. That'll be kind of exciting to get us all together on. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Davis-Allen.
I have no general report from the Senate, but I would like to offer the following congratulations to Trustee Padberg and Milchiker. We're happy to see you continue on the service of the board. On behalf of the Irvine Valley College Academic Senate, I would like to echo Dr. Rockmore's comments to you, Don Wagner, and to thank you for your tireless efforts on our college's accreditation behalf. During your tenure, you've come to IVC's table in the spirit of an open debate and dialogue, all in an effort to understand our concerns, support our educational objectives, and assist us in better serving our students and our community. The Irvine Valley College faculty thanks you for this assistance throughout your 12 years, for your direction and for your support, and we wish you success in your new role in Sacramento. And we hope that you will remember us with respect and lots of good humor.
Fondly.
So, to Chancellor Dixie Bullock, the IVC faculty will miss you very much, and we certainly appreciate your unwavering support of the faculty at our campus. One last thing, personally, as the wife of a Navy chief, I wish you both fair winds and following seas.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you. Professor Long.
Briefly but sincerely, I'd like to echo the various thanks and congratulations that my colleagues have expressed. The Faculty Association on December 2nd at 4:30 at the Hills in Laguna Hills, at the corner of La Paz and the 5 Freeway, is hosting a post-election Meet Your Trustees party. And I would like to informally at this point, and formally within a few days, extend an invitation to the members of the Board of Trustees, as well as to all of the faculty and administration and staff of the colleges. I'll be sending out an invitation very soon, but I'd like you to consider marking that date on your calendar. That's Tuesday, December 2nd at 4:30 at the Hills. And we'd very much like to see you there.
December 2nd, I believe, is a Thursday.
Then maybe it is Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Professor Dominguez.
Well, I guess I have to say goodbye to Dixie one more time. Dixie, we're friends, so it's not really goodbye. I just will say, Dane, you are a lucky man. You finally get her all to yourself again. And I'm just sad, Dixie, that we didn't get to see you tap dance yet one more time. I'm certain you will. And I just thought I think that should be a minimum qualification or a desirable qualification for every executive administrator, the ability to tap dance, because it seems that they all do it anyway. Anyway. And for Don, well, what can I say? It's been a hoot. I'm going to miss bantering with you. And congratulations and bravo and farewell. And I just think it's going to be fun for you. I think just constant campaign and, raising money, I can't think of anything else to do. So thank you, and thank you for your service. To Nancy and Marcia, welcome back. It'll be good to see you for another 4 years. As far as our report, the Saddleback Senate just went to the State Senate plenary meeting, and we took 5 faculty leaders and some potential faculty, and we spent a lot of time talking about a Senate bill called 1440, which is a transfer degree, very important, has wide-ranging impacts, and our colleges are asked to respond to it. And we had a long conversation, and we were able to talk to our colleagues across the state, and you'll hear more about that in later reports. But until then, well, happy Thanksgiving, and gosh, it's been fun. Thanks.
All right. And Mark Cuman is busy running the TV, so he can't get out here, but he did ask me to relay on behalf of the classified that they are running a food drive, and with the assistance of some Girl Scouts in a troop that contains Mark Sierakowski's daughter, and we all know and fondly remember Mark. They had a very good weekend with the food drive, and so I promised Mark that if he makes us all look good on TV, that I'll give that report. So that is done. Happy Thanksgiving all. Take care, all of you.